So one of the questions I've been asked is, how do I attract a beloved relationship into my life? Or how do I attract a beloved relationship into my life? And I'm asked this question by men, and 99% of the people I work with are men. So in this video, I'm going to answer from the very male perspective of how to do this. If you're a woman listening to this, then I hope you enjoy or get something out of it. But speaking to the men of the world, how do you attract a beloved relationship? And that word's really key, right? It's not just about attracting a relationship, a conventional, a standard, any relationship, someone to pass the time with. It's the quality of beloved. So if we were speaking one-to-one, the first question I would ask you is, what does beloved mean to you? And particularly, what are the feelings that a beloved relationship gives and evokes? And from my world, the quality of beloved is really a quality of devotion. There are aspects or textures to that love that are really sublime, generous, giving, deeply, almost transparently intimate at times with the other, and devoted. So that, say your partner's going through a difficult period, you are still pouring and emanating love and support to that other person in a deep sense of adoration and commitment. You're not weighing up your options and wondering how and when you're going to leave if it doesn't improve. So there's a steadfast devotional quality to it, but also I think a quality of worship and rapture, which is, I admire and adore the beauty of this person so much, physical and inner beauty, and the way in which I love this person is able to transport me to amazing heights of love, and that reflects from the other person as well, and we kind of transfigure each other in a way into glorious beings, our highest selves. There's this uplifting transportation that takes place. I believe in a beloved relationship, and these things are really tough, or tight. If the relationship starts to hit some rocks, it's not going to pull apart very, very quickly. You're going to hash every issue out with a lot of honor and truth and intent to come to the highest possible outcome for everyone. So there's a lot in that, and it's a high bar. And I think the first thing that needs to be in place to have a beloved relationship is that you are able to, first of all, love in these kinds of ways. And that's not a simple thing, but to be able to understand and to love in these kinds of ways, and then to be able to recognize when you are being loved in these kinds of ways. Many of us are blind to that. What does this kind of beloved love look and feel like when we're on the receiving end? And then most crucially, are you able to let that love in and fully receive it when you're being loved in this level of fullness that I'm describing? And if you have suffered throughout your life with an inner script or a set of beliefs rumbling around in the subconscious saying, I'm unworthy of love, or no one I really want is ever going to want me, this is a common belief that people have, then when this quality and this magnitude of beloved love comes your way, then to actually allow that in can be very, very difficult. Actually, unconsciously, we defend against it, we deflect it, we don't recognize it until it's really, really late and the other person feels unseen. It could be an excruciating pain, actually, around not being able to drink in this love. So that's really important. Personally, it took me more years than I care to reflect over or admit to get to that point where I was an open enough vessel where a woman's devoted love could come into me and I could actually allow myself to be nourished from that without freaking out in some kind of way. So this is massive, and the culmination or the consequence of allowing this kind of love in is that it gives me the ability to see it in the world. And one of the first things that happens within me, and this is quite automatic, when I meet a new woman that I haven't seen before, there's an aspect of me that kind of does like an instant scan. Like on a scanning machine, I'd see her And one of the first things I realize is, wow, this new woman that I haven't met before, what is her capacity to give beloved love? What is her capacity for devotion? Can I feel this immediately in her? And oftentimes the answer is yes. And it's a beautiful thing. I gaze upon her. I have a deep intuition that, yeah, you're a woman who has a huge heart and the capacity for beloved love. And you can love and you want to love, and love is there within you. Love is you. And I see that and it makes me smile. First of all, because it's the most beautiful thing in the universe, right? Just to intuit that a woman is like open and can give love. And then it makes me smile, and I look back on her with a little smile on my face, and she registers that, and there's an imperceptible way, I think, in which she feels seen, and that opens the doors for a beautiful connection. Energetic, right, at this point, but there's the witness in me that sees the capacity and the willingness to love in her, and boom, there's a very deep spiritual dance that starts. Right? So I'm not saying that I've got a wonderful intuition that other people don't have. What I am saying is, I've been asking the question, what is beloved love, and can I recognize it in the world? I've asked that question for so many years that I bet quite strongly on my capacity to see it, and when I see it, I believe that it's right. And just because I believe that it's right, it kind of increases the amount of love that's in her that comes into me. So I hope this is useful as a start. How do I attract, this is the original question, how do I attract this kind of beloved love into my life as a man looking for this? And I'm going to tell you the best answer that I've heard over the years, and then unpack it a little bit. So the best answer I've heard is, let her appear. Let her appear. That's it. Let her appear. Go and contemplate that. What does it mean if I just let her appear? I'm going to share some thoughts, because at face value it's a very facetious answer, because a lot of men that have not found beloved love, right, will be saying, wow, I mean, I've been looking for this kind of love for 15, 20 years and it hasn't appeared yet. How am I going to let it appear if it's just not around me? So let's discuss that a little bit more. The first thing in this let it appear is just your sense of self and what your world is. So if you've done any meditation or really contemplated a lot of the videos I put out about the nature and the different qualities of presence, when we sit in presence and get in touch with who we are as men, there is that sense of awareness, right? So when I meditate, I let go of my thoughts, let go of who I think I am. And one thing that I come to understand is, wow, on one depth, I am an awareness. I am this thing that lives maybe in me, behind me, somewhere behind my thinking mind, that notices things, that doesn't react, doesn't think, but there is this awareness behind me, right? And that's who I am. And so one way of thinking about this, me as awareness, is I wake up in the morning and I'm generally aware of my house, right? I'm aware of the smell of the morning. I'm aware of if it's rained or not overnight. I'm aware of the levels of coffee or cat food in the house and whether they need to be replenished. I'm kind of aware of what's in the fridge and if I'm going to have a good breakfast today or a kind of crappy one. I'm aware of little bits of mold that start appearing in the walls and tasks that I have to do around the house. So that there's a sense of I'm generally aware and keeping a running inventory on the state of the house. And I mean, if you're not aware of the contents or the state of your house, then it's going to be more problematic, the rest of this, in terms of attracting a good woman. But that's the start of my life. I'm the king of my kingdom and I'm aware of my house. Then I go into my life, right? I leave the house and let's say there's a gym that I go to, there's a workplace that I spend time at, there is a favorite coffee shop or restaurant where I grab something or grab some lunch. Maybe there's an activity like some kind of cultural thing, like a group class or something I go to every single week. So you build a life, right? You have a life, there are places that you go to, and if you go to places often, you have the same kind of awareness in these spaces. I'm aware of the size and shape and the contours of the gym, the same with the coffee shop, and I'm aware of all the other human beings that drop into these places, and I start to recognize similar people all the time. These are people that on a daily basis step into the field of awareness that is my life, and that's it. So when I say let her appear, you have, or you are, a field of awareness which is aware of a certain shape, and that certain shape is the size of your day-to-day life, right? And the more awareness you place on your existing shape of your day-to-day life, the more you're going to notice with added nuance the other people that walk into this shape. So you can, as you become more aware of your environment, you become more aware of the people that step into it. And you might even become aware to such a degree as we discussed before, which is I can actually feel the level of potential beloved devotion in every single person that I generally meet or just see within the shape of my life. So when I'm talking about let her appear, at some point your awareness is going to be crisp enough to notice beautiful, potentially beloved women that come into the field of awareness of your life. And there might already be this quality of beloved in your life that you've not yet become clear enough to see, because maybe you're wrapped up in some thoughts about something, or you haven't really understood this devotional piece. What does beloved mean to you? How well can you recognize love when it's actually around you? So that's what I mean by let her appear. What I don't mean by let her appear is the common thing and the frame of mind that a lot of men live in, which is like, okay, this woman is not appearing in my life as it is. I need to change the shape of my life in order to go and find some women. And in the worst scenario, it's like a man's like, yeah, women must be in a nightclub. I'm going to go to a nightclub. And all of a sudden you start doing activities that are so far outside the shape of your life, and even outside the shape of the life that you want for yourself. You go to bars, you go to clubs, you flick all day on social media apps, and it's like all of these things are painful and not part of your organic nature or what you want just generally as a man. So you start radically jumping out of the shape of your life, going into other places, hoping that you're going to have the centeredness, the authenticity, the groundedness to attract somebody. And that can kind of work if you're energized by the place that you go. You might go on a holiday for a year and you get that sheen of doing an exciting new thing for a few days, which opens you up and makes you more attractive to other people. But in general, my advice is do not radically alter the shape of your life beyond what you want just to find a woman, because if you put yourself in environments where you don't feel comfortable, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to engage with women in a level of ease and alignment that you would want. And it's much more difficult that you find that quality of beloved in you when you're going far outside your life. Now, what you could do is slowly start a project of expanding the shape of your life so it includes possibilities where more women go. You might take up another class. You might start going to another couple of different cafes or restaurants. You might go and walk in public somewhere. I live near a beach. I might spend more time on the beach and just enjoy the view and the people that walk there every day at this time in the morning, or the park, or the city center. You might start to expand the shape of your life so there's a bigger shape that women can come into. But the important thing is that you don't jump out of the organic boundaries of your life. So attracting a beloved woman. I've got a couple more things I want to share. The first thing is, again, this very male strategic approach to dating. Often we might find ourselves in a moment in our life where it's like, okay, I got work sorted out, I got money sorted out, I got my health sorted out. Now I'm going to tackle women, right? And then it's boom, we allocate all our resources to going on some kind of a journey. And I think we have to be really honest about some of the motivations that are guiding us on a journey of dating. And certainly it's worth being honest if your dating journey is kind of a second adolescence or a way of having experiences that you feel you should have had when you were younger but you didn't, and so you're trying to recoup for lost time. Or if you're really actually going for the beloved relationship right off the bat. And in fact, both of these are good. I don't want to denigrate this side and say that this is better, but I think we've got to be honest for ourselves if we're actually coming to the dating market from a place of feeling relatively unhealed or unworthy, and we are surreptitiously looking to meet a woman or some women that are going to give us a sense of validation or heal some kind of wound of unworthiness or loneliness, or I didn't get this when I was in high school or college, I hope I'm going to get it now. When we arrive on the dating scene and we're not owning our unhealedness and our brokenness and the stakes and what it means to have a partner, even if it's a short-term sexual partner, like what would it mean to the deeper unhealed aspects of my psyche if you come home and sleep with me tonight? If we go onto the dating scene with these things running us, and we haven't admitted them to ourselves, and we certainly don't admit them to the women that we see, then it becomes much more difficult to drop into this quality of beloved. And you might need to go on, spend a year or two going on a carnival to kind of have that second adolescence or make up for lost time, and have a number of experiences with women that show you the rainbow of what's possible. That might be needed. But it makes the quality of beloved more difficult. And actually what can reinstall or reinstill that clear seeing that makes a devotional relationship more possible is you approach every date that you go on and you fully there's some aspects of me that are unhealed. There's some times where I feel really, really lonely and I question my self-worth, question my lovability. I do have some existential angst in my soul around the question of relationships and intimacy and dating. But I'm not going to unconsciously try and sleep with you so those problems get squashed for a couple of days. I'm just going to own them and realize that they're there, and realize that if you're on the dating scene as well, you probably suffer with these things too. And so if there's aspects of you that feel really unhealed, like you're really struggling with stuff like self-worth, I would recommend that you heal that, you do the inner work that's needed, therapy, spiritual work, soul work, whatever it is, to find a sense of healing of that. But at the same time, you can't wait until you're fully healed in terms of meeting potential partners. There are ways that only being in relationship can heal certain parts of us, I believe. So there's a quality of showing up on the first date where it's like, yeah, I have these inner things, but I also know that in your own way that you're going to have them too. Being a human being just means that there's always going to be some level of existential soul torture, right? So you can look across at her and be like, there's places where you're going to feel broken, and me too. And we don't have to have a vulnerability fest in our early dating life, but just having a sensitivity to imagining that can be true for her while that's true for you, creates actually a more sacred space, a more sacred way of looking at her, and a more sacred way of her seeing you and feeling you as a man that's got time and space, less agenda to get anywhere with her, but a tender kind of openness when it comes to the deep human questions of the heart. When you do come a bit closer and become more intimate, physically or emotionally, she's going to really feel you as a human being and a soul that is actually here. And then you start to kick off that sense of beloved. There's enough in your tender brokenness that she can feel you as a human, and that's going to evoke that sense of unconditional love that she wants to give more and more, and the love will come towards you if you're just seeing her in an objectivizing way. How can I sleep with her? What do I want from her? Ding, ding, ding. You close everything off and create a distance. And when you do that, there's actually nothing in there that she can feel or feel like she wants to really love. So That's a frame for vulnerability. And then the second piece is to attract a beloved relationship. I mean, if you let her appear, she's going to come into your life when you're ready. That's probably a horrible way of explaining it, but cometh the moment, cometh the woman. Maybe you're 6 years old and you're playing in a sandpit and the kind of soulmate thing kicks off, or you're a teenager, early 20s, whatever it is. She's going to appear into your life in the moment that she appears into your life. There could be a random factor to that, or it could be completely related to your psychological constitution. But she's going to appear when she's ready. If you try and go out on a whole bunch of dates to create readiness, well, there can be a lot of push and effort on your side. That doesn't actually make you more ready to attract this depth of beloved relationship. Just because you go on 100 dates and you're playing some kind of numbers game doesn't mean that you're actually forming and molding yourself in the deep way necessary to attract this form of deep love. Because you might just be playing the numbers game without deepening yourself. So I believe if you want to cut through a lot of the chasing women and dating crap that a lot of the men sign up to and just go really for this beloved relationship, I think there are two other conversations that you need to be having with yourself ongoingly. And these are two other conversations that are going to fashion you as a deep, soulful kind of man that will attract the beloved energy. And the first conversation is about your inner relationship to yourself. Whether you call that spirituality or seeking these spiritual states through different lineages and meditations and practices and readings and so on. Maybe it's a psychological getting to know yourself, the shadow work, your emotional literacy, healing, traumas and wounds and so on. Getting to know your shadow, your dark side, your anger, your fierce animal impulses. Maybe it's a kind of soul work, and actually your inner work is not about the traditional, I'm going to heal my trauma and self-help 101 and so on. Maybe your inner work is spending more time in nature. And I've got some friends here that actually are taking surfing as their inner work. There's something that happens in nature on the waves where I find myself face to face with really deep aspects of who I am, and that gives me a kind of soul healing. So maybe it's you deepen your inner conversation with yourself through the practices you do and the lifestyle that you lead and the depth in which you do that. So that's one conversation to go into. And the second conversation to really explore is about your direction and your vocation in the world. What's your work? And particularly, it's not about upscaling your work or getting a promotion or the next level of success. Yeah, sure, men that make more money have an attractive factor, right? But we're talking about the quality of beloved here. And so the question here, to attract this spiritually satisfying kind of love, the question that you'll need to really grapple with is, what is the soul gift inside of you that you long to give to the world through your work? What is the deep soul gift that lives inside of you that you long to give to the world through your work? So this is turning the conventional notion of career success really inside out and asking, like, on the deepest level, what kind of legacy do you want to leave in the world as you die? How do you want to be remembered as a human being as you die? It's not always about, writing a certain book or leaving a particular legacy, an artistic creation set in stone. You might actually do something relatively conventional, let's say in business, but there's a quality in which you deliver that work. There's a quality that you relate to other people, that in your dying breath you could be like, wow, you know what, I've got no regrets about how I spent my days. And I think this is not an easy conversation. It can be a largely multi-year conversation for a man to even understand, then grapple with and find answers to himself. Once you've found what it is that you want to give, then you have to fashion yourself into the kind of man who can give that, right? Many years of apprenticeship. It's like a deep metamorphosis of the soul, often, to understand this question. But if you're living and your own work and your direction feels like a devotion to you, it's like the energy and the vibration of love that you live in and that you give out to the world, again, shapes you, tenderizes you, softens you as a man. It softens you and sharpens you at the same time in such a way that a woman's love can come very, very close to you. And I think I've seen a lot of, power couples who get together and orient around, like, let's set goals and create this kind of income, and they're in a very egoic way, they're building material lives that they want for themselves. It's like, yeah, let's work together. I want this for me, you want that for you. We'll teamwork it all the way. That can be very, very sweet and lovely, but in terms of the real beloved relationship, which is how can I have a spiritual quality infused into the way that we love each other, that feels timeless, that scratches my itch for deepest existential meaning and value of life lived, then I think you've got to very much grapple with how do you want to give yourself into the world. And what this means for women, looking at you, I kind of have a train station analogy. A woman who is considering the different male options in her life is like a woman who arrives in a train station. You know, she's nicely dressed, she's got a little suitcase and so on, and she's like, what kind of train can I hop on here? And too many men are kind of untidy trains with no destination written on the front and the back carriage, and the insides of the train are in disrepair. The woman's like, well, this train driver wants me to drive onto his train, but I don't know where he's going. I don't know what the route is going to be like, and I don't know if I even want to sit in the carriage, right? So there's a way in which you need to clarify yourself as a journey. A woman who loves you is going to be on a journey with you for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. What journey do you promise? Is the destination relatively clear, and is that a place where she wants to go in her life? Is the itinerary to go to that place nice? I mean, are you going to be passing through beautiful valleys and forests and cliffs and seaside views as you go towards the destination? Or is it just going to be like one big long tunnel or industrial zone until you hopefully appear on the other side? Or is it unspecified? That's another piece of information. And then the third information is, what's the condition of the inside of your train? And I think women are feeling into men and wondering, if I hop aboard with him, where am I going to end up? So you want to damn well make sure that the adventure that you're proposing to all the women in the train station is something really, really attractive. And again, attractive in this deep feeling, soulful way, which I hope you've understood in what I've shared. All right. To wrap this up, I very firmly believe that a deep, beautiful, intimate relationship is necessary for us to give our best gifts into the world as men. And also a deep contemplation of our spiritual and soul's nature, and the thing that we want to give to the world is deeply essential for eliciting the best out of our intimate relationship. And if you are really interested in these three topics, check out the work that I'm doing with Legacy. So I put a link below. You can sign up for my newsletter down below. And also I put a link for my Legacy program. And if you want to hop aboard and study these kinds of concepts in depth and make these shifts in your life over the course of a year, then I invite you to consider a year-long mentoring program with me. See you in the next video.